Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to our 7-day challenge. My name is Jennifer, and I'm so thankful you'll be joining me for these 7 days. So, for props for the entire 7 days, the whole week challenge is going to be a yoga strap, or you can modify using a pant belt, and then a yoga block. And if you do not have a block, that's okay. Just find some kind of blanket or pillow that you'll be able to tuck under you if you need it. Now, if you know balance is something that you are working on, a chair is also completely fine to have close by. I won't be cueing so much for the chair, but you could have it for extra support in some of our standing postures if you need it. And with that, just a few basic things to cover. Make sure, as we're always going through my practice, because we are doing this through video, I can't always see you to modify or adjust you. So learn to really listen into your body. So if something isn't feeling right, or there's a pose I'm cueing and you can feel pain with it, then simply skip that posture and then hop in on the next. You can always ask me any questions on different poses in the comment section. And then one final thing, I will be linking a playlist for every single video. So if you want to play some music along with our sequence, click the link below for some music. And with that, we will get started on our day 1, which is going to be all about the neck and the shoulders. Who doesn't need some work on that? So with our technology using bodies, we tend to really have those rounded shoulders, a lot more restriction in the chest, and a lot of weakness in the back of the upper back. So working a lot on opening up the heart space and really strengthening some of our postural muscles will be one of our main focuses for this. So with that, we will get started. Taking a block or pillow or blanket and rolling it up, placing it under the hips so that you can sit a little taller. We'll start to close the eyes, and I want you just to do an initial body alignment. So rocking those hips slightly forward, which is a lot easier with that block underneath, so we can let the knees be a little lower than the hips, just in case we have some hip joint tightness there. And then once you've brought the hips forward, engaging across those abdominal muscles, that helps to keep our rib cage from floating up too high and helps to give the spine a little added support. We'll gently squeeze those shoulder blades back, opening slightly across the heart space. And then we'll start to focus on breath. So inhaling in through the nose. And maybe for the first couple breaths, we just sigh it out. Inhaling in through the nose. And then sighing it out. Let's see one more with that sigh. Inhale in through the nose. And sigh it out. So now we'll take that inhale in through the nose, but just exhale out of the nose. With each breath in, we're trying to take the breath from our chest, seeing if we can go even a little bit deeper and filling up that belly space. So it's hard to notice when we don't pay attention to it, but we tend to really just breathe very shallow, not even taking that breath all the way down. And this actually does put a lot of stress and strain on our neck. So using a lot of those upper neck muscles to breathe when you're not taking the breath as deep as it can, and we're not using that full strength of the diaphragm, you can get extra tension even across those muscles in the cervical spine, the neck. Letting the breath relax those shoulders down with each exhale too. So noticing how much tension we even have at the top of the shoulders to begin with. Making sure we're still sitting tall through the spine. And before we start any movement, I always like to do a physical check-in. So first, feeling into the physical body, Is there any pain present today? Are you feeling tense? Are you feeling good in the body for this practice? Doing that full body scan. And then checking in mentally. How have we been feeling? Maybe what our current struggles are, or just what's going on in day to day. Letting that emotion that's there have space to come up. We're not avoiding our feelings, we're just letting them be, being an observer to them without attaching a ton of thought, but noting it. Let's take one more deep inhale and exhale out of the nose, maybe your biggest one yet. Then we'll keep it that breathing pattern, but just letting the hands slide off the legs, coming down to either side. We'll keep our eyes closed for this first little movement. We're just going to take the shoulders up towards the ears and then roll them down and back. So inhale brings the shoulders up. Exhale to roll them down and back. Working into all those muscles in between the shoulder blades, giving them a good squeeze as you take those backward shoulder rolls. Let's see, one more breath. Inhaling in. And exhale. Then eyes can still be closed, sitting up tall through the spine. So seeing if you lost that posture, staying strong here. And then release that left ear towards the left shoulder. Start to lengthen that right side of the neck. If you need to tiptoe that right hand out an inch or two, you can make that line of pull a little greater. And then gently tiptoeing that right hand back in. You're just gonna draw using your chin like you're drawing a necklace across your chest as you do a little half roll. And then taking the right ear over the right shoulder. Sitting up tall through the spine, maybe tiptoeing that left hand out an inch or two. Lengthening now the left side of the neck. We'll take that one more time. Chin goes across the chest like you're drawing a necklace. Taking that left ear over the left shoulder. Tiptoeing that right hand out an inch or two. Feeling that good stretch all through the right side of the neck. Let's take one more inhale in. And then chin goes across the chest. Rolling that right ear over the right shoulder. Tiptoe that left hand out an inch or two if needed. Couple breaths. One last time on that left hand side. And this time just sweep the head back to center and start to open the eyes. So sitting up nice and tall, we're gonna inhale and just take those arms open and out like we're making a letter V with the arms. Opening across the chest and maybe even opening those hands really wide. You might be able to get a stretch in the center of the palm. And then as we exhale on that next breath, you're just gonna take that V and reverse it, leaning forward slightly, taking those shoulders down. So we're gonna make a little flow of that. So inhale to that V, and then exhale to reverse it, tipping the chest forward slightly as we bring those shoulders down and back. Inhale to open up, and then exhale to bring them down. Taking it one more time. Inhale to come up. And then exhale to come down. Beautiful. Then bringing both arms overhead. From the belly, we're going to start to take a twist towards that left-hand side. And exhale, that right arm goes to the left leg. The left arm comes in behind the back to lengthen your spine. So use that back arm as a prop to try to lift up a little higher. Then you can use that bind with that right hand on the knee to help you to twist some, but feeling like you're twisting from the center of the spine. If it feels good to take your gaze back to where it can go, you can add a little more rotation for the neck. And we use our breath here. So inhale, grows the spine. Exhale to ring out. And then slowly unwinding. Let the belly come to the front, then the chest, then the chin. Inhale to sweep those arms up. And then exhale to twist to the right. So bringing the left arm to the right knee, right arm in behind the back. Using that back arm to lift you up a little taller. And then focusing in on breath. You can take that gaze back if you want to add a little rotation for the neck. Last breath. And then slowly unwinding. One more inhale up. And then as you exhale, just roll out the wrist. So taking some wrist circles, going down nice and slow. When we work the shoulders, we really work the wrists, the elbows, that whole arm. And then with that, we're gonna come into our tabletop pose. So just scooting off to one side. You can put your blocker pillow off to the side unless you need to slip something under your knees. So if you notice your knees have trouble being planted to the floor, you can slip a towel under there, blanket, fold up your mat, just making sure the knees are protected. And then we'll start to take those fingers out nice and wide. You want the wrist right underneath the shoulders. And then you want to dial a little more weight into that index and thumb finger. So if we let our wrist naturally just relax, we tend to put a lot of compression on the outside of the hands, which can feel a little awkward or maybe even a little painful. So putting a lot more on that index and thumb finger. And with that, we're going to take a few cat and cows. So as we inhale, the belly's going to start to fall to the floor. You're going to open across your chest and then look up. This will be cow pose. And then as you exhale, you're going to start to round out your spine, bringing the belly button, hugging it in, letting your head relax and feeling like you're pushing the mat away for cat pose. So we'll take two more of those. Inhale, belly comes down, open across the heart, look up. Exhale to round out the spine. Inhale, let the belly sink down, open the heart, look up. And exhale to round. Beautiful. Then coming back into neutral, we're going to turn the fingertips out to the outside edges of our mat, finding a little bit of rocking side to side. And then if you want a little bit more and your hands can do it, we'll tip the fingertips all the way back towards the knees and then find a up and down rocking. So you might feel a little stretch in the forearms. That's a good thing. Making sure there's no pain or discomfort, just a nice stretch. Beautiful. And then returning those fingertips all the way back up to the front. Then from here, we're going to take one more shoulder stability. So getting really strong in your right hand. Feel like all 5 fingers are really working into the mat. You're going to keep your chin tucked. The back of your head is lifted. So we're not slouching our neck. We're fighting that strength against gravity. And then that left arm's just going to come out to the side and down. Diagonal. to the side and down, diagonal and down. One more time. Side and down and diagonal and down. Good. Sit those hips back for a second. Maybe shake out the wrist. Can go into a full child's pose here if you want. Maybe rock the hands side to side. So it takes a lot of practice to get used to putting weight through the hands, building up all those shoulder muscles that help to stabilize the joint. So planting the hands, coming back into tabletop, and we'll take that other side. So getting strong in all 5 fingers of that left hand, dialing some weight, maybe even a little more towards the inside. Keeping the chin tucked, back of the head lifted, bring the right arm out to the side, and then diagonal. To the side, and diagonal. To the side, and then diagonal. And then planting that right hand down. From here, we're gonna take our first down dog. So tucking those toes, making sure the feet are hip distance apart, start to sit the hips up and back. So bring those feet even a little wider if you need to. Bend your knees graciously. All 10 fingers are working so that you're putting more weight back. So if we put too much weight in the front, we start to notice that rounding. We don't want that. We want a nice line from our hands back to our hips. And then you can work on pedaling it out to start to loosen the calf muscles, the hamstrings, maybe rocking the hips a bit side to side. And then pausing in the center, starting to look up, find the hands with your eyes, your gaze. Walk the feet forward. Keep them hip distance apart, bend your knees graciously, and just let the whole body fold. So you can just let gravity melt you down. You can grab opposite elbows, maybe swaying a bit side to side. And then releasing. Very slowly roll up for this first one. Taking your time, stacking one vertebrae at a time as you roll up. And rolling those shoulders back at the top, reaching the arms up. And we're gonna take 3 of these as you exhale, just opening up the shoulders, so finding that cactus shape. Then inhale to lift up. Growing the whole spine nice and tall. Exhale to cactus the arms. Inhale to reach up. And exhale to cactus the arms. Inhale to reach up. And then exhale, bend the knees slightly, start to fold the arms down. Now we're gonna take 3 of these halfway lifts, so sliding the hands up the legs until the back is flat. Gently squeeze those shoulder blades together. And then as you exhale, just let your chest melt back down. So keeping the knees as bent as we need so we don't feel too much strain on our back. 2 more times. Inhale, slide it up. Make sure we're not fully locking the knees back. Gently squeeze those shoulder blades. And then exhale to melt. One more time. Inhale to lift. And exhale to melt. Beautiful. Plant those hands down. We're gonna step that left foot back, staying up on the toes on that right leg, finding our runner's lunge. So here's where blocks or a pillow can be helpful. So if you know you're really tight and it's hard to bring your hands all the way down to frame the foot, you can come up a little bit higher if you need to. And then if you're ready for the next option, it's rising and lifting up, bringing the hands to the hips. So if you're struggling with balance and you want to keep it low, that is okay. This will be option 2 with a little more support. And then option 3 is coming into full high lunge, lifting those arms up. And then before we settle in and focus on breath, you're gonna glance down at your front leg. Make sure you can see your big toe so that knee's not falling inward, it's opening up. really working those outer hip muscles. Beautiful. Then scooping that belly in a little more, seeing if you can lift that back leg a little straighter. Finding a point of focus, focusing on that inhale and exhale. And I'm adding one more challenge. Taking a little bit of a tricep stretch, we're gonna let that right arm just come in behind the back, bringing that left arm to land at the elbow, maybe even finding a side bend, opening into that right tricep. One more breath, feeling that burn on that front leg. And then reaching both arms overhead. And we'll start to find our warrior two. So you can straighten that front leg out a moment if you need to. And then finding warrior two, you're gonna check and make sure the front foot is in line with the middle of that back foot. So if you kept it low, just windmilling those arms up. We're facing the right edge of the mat. Bringing the shoulders to a letter T, making sure we're not charging over the front leg, but we're sitting happily between the front and the back leg. Then we're gonna take a little flow of this. So you're gonna inhale to lift the arm, straighten that front leg. Exhale to rebend. Inhale to come up, straightening the front leg, bringing the hands overhead to touch. Exhale to rebend. One more time, inhale to come up. Exhale to rebend. So one final challenge in our warrior two. You're going to bring the arms to make an X. So bring the right arm on the bottom, left arm on top. Bend the elbows, and then if you can connect palm to palm, we're going to take those eagle arms. So keeping that bend in the front knee, lifting up through those elbows. One more breath. Then unwinding, bringing the arms out to a T. Then we'll windmill them down, so left arm comes down, right arm comes down. Turn and spin that back foot to where the toes are back on the mat. And then just step the right foot to meet the left. And we'll pause in a forward fold. So bending the knees as much as you need to. You can always use blocks or the pillow for the forward fold if it's hard to go all the way down. And then as you work on taking some, you can start to find more extension in the legs. You just don't want to compromise by rounding your back. So if you have really tight hamstrings and you need to keep that bend there, that is completely fine. Better to not put the back through too much rounding. Let's take one more breath here. Then we're gonna take that other side. So the left foot's gonna step back. We're on the left toes. Option one is to use support of the blocks. Just stay low in a runner's lunge. Option two is to come up, bringing the hands to the hips. So if we struggle with balance, adding a little extra support. And then option three, bringing the arms overhead. Checking in with that front knee, making sure you can see the big toe, that knee to foot alignment is there. Then focusing on scooping in the belly, straightening that back leg, reaching the arms up. Then taking one final challenge. If you want to bring that left hand back, to land at the upper back, bring the right hand to that left elbow, and taking a tricep stretch, maybe leaning to the right side slightly, making sure we're not dumping into our low back. Keep that belly engaged. And then starting to unwind. We're gonna open up to our warrior two, so spinning that back heel down, bring the arms to a T, make sure the front heel is in line with the middle of that back foot. Start to find that bend. Arms are softening from the shoulders. Our arms are softening from the ears. So relaxing, we're not holding them up too tight. Then we'll take that little vinyasa. Inhale to bring the arms overhead, straightening that front knee. Exhale to rebend. Inhale to come up. Exhale to rebend. One more time. Inhale to come up, straightening the front leg, reaching arms overhead. And exhale, coming back. Then taking that eagle arms for our last challenge, bringing the arms to an X. This time the left arm is under, right arm on top. Bend the elbows, and then if you can connect palm to palm, you can take that or just keep that X. So you're gonna lift up, keep the bend in the front knee, don't start to straighten it, keep that burn. One more breath. Then starting to open up the arms, windmilling them down. So right arm comes down, left arm comes down, spinning that back foot so we're on the toes. And then we'll step back into plank and drop the knees. So we're in this kind of modified plank position. We're gonna take one more challenge for the shoulders and then slow it down. So with the hands spread out nice and wide, all 10 fingers working, we're just gonna hug the elbows by the rib cage, doing a little half push-up and then straightening back out. So we call these chaturanga push-ups, so a little prep pose for that. So it's a good strengthener as well for that posture. Let's take a couple more. So letting the elbows hug by your ribs and then lifting up, elbows hugging by your ribs, then lifting up. One more time, elbows hugging by your ribs and lifting up. Start to sit those hips up and back, coming into child's pose. So bringing the legs out nice and wide. If you need to put a block down to rest your forehead, you can. Letting the hands be an anchor to sit some more weight back so you can really get a nice opening across the low back. Taking one more inhale here. And then gently just coming forward enough that you can drop to one hip and find a nice comfortable seated position. We got one more seated posture and then we'll work our way down to the mat. So if you want to stick that block or pillow underneath the hips, just to make it a little easier to sit since we don't have the support. Working on strengthening our spines. Even just sitting unsupported puts a lot of work for the back, so keeping that tummy engaged as well. Here's where you might need your strap, so if you want to have it close by, I'll show the pose we're going to do first. So we're going to take cow face pose, but just through the arms. So arms are going to come out to a T. You're going to spin the right thumb down and bring that right arm in behind the back, and then spin the left thumb up and bring it in behind the head. So I can turn around so you can see me. So you want to do a check first and see if your fingertips can come together. If they can, awesome. If they can't, taking that strap, using it to fill in that space, and then you can work on crawling across the belt if it feels like it's accessible, maybe after a few breaths. So making your way into that position, finding that easy seat. And then the elbows are working on opening away from each other, but once again, we don't want any pain or discomfort. Maybe you close the eyes here, focus on breath. We're gonna hold a few extra breaths in this posture. And very gently start to unwind. And shake the arms out. I'll just stay facing the back so you can see the setup for this next one. Arms are gonna come out to a T. This time the left thumb is gonna spin down. You're gonna bring that left hand in behind the back. Right thumb is going to spin up and you're gonna bring that right arm behind the head. So once again, first doing the little check, seeing where it is. One side can look very different than the other. Seeing if you need that strap to fill in the space. And then once you find the sweet spot, maybe closing your eyes, focusing on using the breath to just open you up a little further, not pushing into pain, just a stretch. And then very slowly start to unwind. Woo. Shaking the arms out, maybe giving yourself a hug back and forth. Just stretching into those shoulders. Can be a pretty intense stretch. So having the props off to the side, we're just gonna bring the feet in front of the body. Using the backs of the legs, we'll slowly lower ourselves onto the back. Giving a moment just to let the body settle, making any adjustments we need. Got one final active posture and then we'll take our Savasana, our resting pose, our final meditation. So I'm gonna give a few options for this one as well. So we're gonna take a bridge pose, so bringing the feet hip distance apart, you're just gonna lift the hips up. Now you can turn the palms down to face the floor and just work on pressing the arms into the floor as we lift the hips. So if that's causing any discomfort in your back, you can work on just staying in this reclined position and focus on just the strength of the arms dialing into the floor with the palms down. The next option is to lift up into bridge and bring the arms all the way under the body. So you have to kind of do a tuck and seeing if the hands can meet or interlace underneath the hips. So I'll give you a few breaths in whichever option you can take. And if the hands can't quite interlace, that's okay. Just bringing them together to touch. Lifting up those hips, getting a back bend for our spine. We'll take 2 more breaths. If you have that bind, go ahead and release it. Slowly lower the hips down. We'll just pause a moment for the spine to neutralize. And if you want to bring those knees up towards the chest, maybe rock a little side to side. Giving that low back a final massage. And then with that, we're going to take our final closing pose. It's the most important part. So we do the whole flow so that we can actually allow our mind and body to rest in Savasana. So bringing those legs out, finding some extension. If you need to slip something under the knees to make the back a little happier, you can grab a pillow, blanket, slide it under. Otherwise, just taking as much space as you need, making any adjustments to where you feel very comfortable. And then the goal is to try to not move the body and really focus on a natural breathing pattern so we're getting as much stillness as we can get. So what happens when we hold still, the busy mind tends to go into overdrive trying to take over. We're so used to moving and getting constant input. So if our thoughts drift away, we're just going to bring them back, even if we have to do that over and over and over. It's a practice. So taking one final deep breath and then returning to your natural breathing pattern. And seeing if you can soften all those muscles of the face, so checking in with the forehead, the jaw, seeing if you can soften your tongue, relaxing the hands, the shoulders, the hips, the knees, the feet. Letting the ground below you support you. And we'll take our last few minutes in silence. If you feel like you want to take a little bit longer in Savasana, feel free. And if you're ready, we'll start to deepen our breathing first. Just taking a deeper inhale and exhale. And then gently starting to wiggle the toes and the fingers. Gently nodding the head side to side. And then we're bending up one knee at a time. Then rolling onto whichever side is most comfortable for you. So pausing for a moment in this fetal position, the side lying. And maybe doing that check-in just like we did at the beginning of class, seeing how we feel physically and mentally now, even compared to the beginning of class. And then with those eyes closed, when you are ready, just making your way to a seated position. Then bringing the arms just together, or the palms together rather, right over the heart. So just being grateful that you made time for this practice. You made time for you to focus on mind, body, and spirit connection. It's so, so needed. And with that, we'll take our final breath together. So inhaling through the nose and one nice big sigh out of the mouth. So inhaling in, sigh it out. Thank you, thank you, thank you for joining me in this practice. Namaste. Thank you all so much. I hope you're feeling good in your body. Please leave me any comments or any questions below, and I will see you tomorrow for day